Hey everybody, I wanted to bring you this little video series as a way of sort of addressing and working through together some of the stuff that we're all experiencing. No one of us is experiencing the same thing. Everybody's going through this time with different challenges, different blessings. So it's hard to put a single band-aid or solution out there. But I've been doing a little bit of research into what kind of things happen in a time like this, and I've also been talking to a lot of you and seen what you've kind of responded on our survey as well. And so I'm going to try to bring up a few things that I think we're all experiencing and talk about some ways we can kind of get through that together and with the Lord. One thing that I think is pretty universal in a time like this is we're experiencing some sort of loss of control. And that might look differently for all of you, but having control is actually something that's really healthy for us, and particularly having control of the things that have to do with you, having control of your personal freedoms and your control over yourself. And in a time like this, some of us are losing that in big ways or in small ways. Um, you think of it, there's something satisfying, like metaphorically, about in your life being able to take action, like throw a stone into the lake and then seeing kind of the ripples that creates in your life, the effects that it can have. And in a time like this, we don't have that opportunity as often to make the choice to take action in the way we always would, or to do the things that we are desiring to do. And this comes out in a lot of ways. Um, for me, I'm having to cancel times with family and cancel trips to see family and to go to weddings and to just take vacation as well. And in the grand scheme of things, this stuff can be small, but it still affects me in a way. And I think there's a lot of people who are experiencing stuff like this. They're having to cancel plans with friends, postpone weddings, do funerals in really horrible conditions. Um, there's people who, can't really do the hobbies that they enjoy right now, that can't go to work the way that they normally would like to, or unable to work at all because they've been asked to stay home. I could go on, but I think you all will probably recognize in some way in your life the ways that you've lost some control and some control of yourself and some of your freedoms in this time. And I think this is something that, whether we recognize it or not, is actually something that has a big effect on us. If you think about it, I think it can inspire fear in us to lose some of that self-control. Something that I've learned about recently as well is it can also bring about what I'll call learned helplessness. And this idea of learned helplessness is that if there's a lot of things that we can't control that are happening in our lives, sort of the way that we begin to process and the way that we begin to see the world and sort of the software with which we process, it begins to change. And this happens in three ways, all starting with a P. If it happens personally, we start to feel bad about ourselves and our ability and our worth. It also happens in a way that's permanent. We start to think that nothing's going to change. We're never going to get back that control, and we're never going to have, hope, and it's always going to be like this. And the third thing that kind of happens in learned helplessness is that we get this experience of pervasive. That's pervasive, where we get the sense that everything is wrong. The whole world is negative. Everything around me is going wrong. And you can see how kind of those three things, that taking on bad feelings about self, personal, that is pervasive, that it's everything that's gone wrong, and that it's permanent, that it's never going to go away, can really take you into a pretty negative spiral. And of course, this loss of control can affect us in other ways, as I mentioned, other than this learned helplessness. I think in a lot of ways, it just brings up this general feeling of anxiety for some, or just makes people feel down, right? I think it just takes away something, even if it's hard to put a label on it. So what can we do that's somewhat in response to something like this? How can we respond to losing control? Well, as with everything in life, there's lots of ways, but I want to try to walk us through something that is a little bit practical today. I want to take a chance to do a practical exercise that I think can help us process through this loss of control. The exercise is really simple. The first thing I want us to do is create a list that has two different columns on it. The first column being things you cannot control, and the second column being things you can control. What I want you to do is take some time, put a little music on like I've got on now, take maybe 5 or 10 minutes, however long you've got, and fill this out and fill it out as thoroughly as you can. If it helps you, pray along the way so that God could bring things up. And write everything down that comes to mind. Write everything down that you feel like you don't have control of in this time, and everything you have control of in this time. Obviously, you don't have to write, the minutest of details, but whatever you can think of is good. And then after we've written up these columns, we're going to do something pretty cool. We're going to focus on the first column, and we're going to pray through that. And what I want us to do is intentionally ask God to give us peace about each thing that we've listed. Literally say them by name and ask God to give you peace about them. This is kind of akin to a famous prayer that's called the Serenity Prayer that you may have heard of, that says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So that's what we're going to do with that first column, is pray through that, try to give those things over to God and find some peace over them. With the second column, the thing that I want to do is a bit similar. I want you to pray through the second column and just ask God to help you to do the things that you can control and take the actions that you can take in this time. And again, I want you to pray those by name. After you've prayed through that second column, there's kind of a second thing I want you to do with that column, which is I want you to try to zero in on a couple things that you've written that you'd really like to do, that you'd really like to give some time and attention to in the midst of this. Think of, within those things you have control over, what are some practical actions you could take that go along with that? Try to make yourself a goal that has to do with that area of your life that you have control of. In a time like this, I think we have control of, in a lot of ways, the way we take care of ourselves and the way we take care of those who we love. So if that's true for you, you can maybe make a goal that has to do with physical health, some sort of exercise goal, or spiritual health, some sort of spiritual practice that you want to put in place during this time, or some sort of thing you want to do for your loved ones or the people who are around you at this time that you have control of. And make a goal that's specific, that has an end date and has a number of times that you want to do it before you get there. A SMART goal, if you've ever heard of that. If not, you can just Google it. I think this practice is really going to be helpful, and one reason why is because in a time like this, when there's sort of a crisis happening and there's all this change coming into our lives, we tend to have a lot of this like anxiety and worry and fear that kind of just lives behind the scenes, because we've got a lot going on up here, but it's all just sort of jumbled, and we never take much time to process it. But something that can be really powerful and really helpful for us is if we just take the chance to actually process through what's going on up in here. This can actually help restore a sense of control in some ways, and can help us to sort of categorize what's going on in our head and have a greater grip on things. So I think that's really important with any kind of change in life and in a time like this, to process through the information, to speak it out loud, to put it down on paper is really helpful, and to give it to God as well in prayer. All these things are really helpful because so much in our life goes unaddressed all the time, and that can actually harm us in a lot of ways. So I think this practice can be helpful for y'all. Let me know how it goes. Email me and let me know if it's been good for you, if you've done something similar, but in a little bit of a different way. Let me know what you've been doing to sort of help in this time where we have a little less control. I'm going to pray for you all really quickly, and then I'm going to let you go. Jesus, thank you so much for the chance to talk with my people, Lord, with your people, with my community. God, I ask that you would help each and every person with all the changes that they're experiencing, Lord. I don't know the details of what's going on in everyone's lives right now, Lord, but you know. So I pray that you would step into their lives in a powerful way. Jesus, that you would be a rock for them in the midst of this storm. God, I pray that you would give us a sense of control and a sense of accomplishment and purpose in the midst of this time when some of that has been taken away by outside forces, Lord. I pray that if you'd like to, Lord, that you would use this time in some of our lives to teach us what it's like to give over more control to you, to come to terms with the fact that we don't always have as much control as we'd like, and to take comfort in trusting you with our lives, in trusting you with the things we worry about. Um, I just ask that you would do that in my life and in the life of those who would like that as well, Lord. Bless these people. I pray this in your mighty name. Amen. Okay, I'll see you guys later with another video where we can process through some other things we might be experiencing this time. All right, love you. Bye-bye.